Did you watch that Star Trek short? Wasn't that funny?
Oh, it's really good. You said they
Yeah.
do that every week?
That was the first one, but they're doing 6 of them, so there'll be another one on Friday.
Oh, okay. That was solid. And I'm going to guess they're using the animation from the animated series, but they're just kind of doing their own mouth things to it
Yeah,
and
I mean,
adding different faces. Right?
Yeah, it's certainly the character, like the Spock character design, but that wasn't supposed to be Kirk in the chair, so
Yeah, it was supposed
I
to be
don't
somebody
know.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good though. It was good. It just
That
how it
was
just
really
kept
good.
asking. I loved when he was like, "What do you guys even do?" And they're like, "Water pressure." And he's like, "Does that have to be on the bridge?"
Does that have to be on the bridge? And then,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
"See." It just got so chaotic there at the end.
I know.
It was really good.
Star Trek, very short treks because they're just like a couple of minutes. So yeah, they're really funny. Star Trek YouTube channel or wherever. But yeah, I had a good time with that.
That was worth the watch. I recommend it for all you Trekkie Star Wars fans out there.
That's right. That's right.
Welcome to This Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we're following the Ewoks from Return of the Jedi, the Ewok TV movies, the 80s cartoon, comics, and beyond.
And beyond. Today, we are discussing a little bit of Beyond. Ewoks Comics number 3, Flight to Danger. This issue was released on Marvel Star imprint on June 4th, 1985. We were wee boys. Gets you
once again, illustrated by Walter Kremer, written by David Manek. This is collected in that same collection, Flight to Danger. So this is the title story from that from the first collection there. So that's cool. Our featured crew member today is John D'Agostino, who was the inker on this issue. So he's worked extensively in comics, but one fun fact I found about him is that he's worked as both an inker and a letterer, and he was actually the letterer on the iconic Amazing Spider-Man #1 in 1963.
That's
right.
Wow.
#1. It was fun getting back into the Ewoks because we've had we did droids and then we did Star Trek last week, so it's been a while, and I'm liking these Ewok comics. I don't know what to tell you. I'm having
I really am, and I think this one's special.
So stupid.
I think this one's
special.
Really, so this one was special for me.
Special for you.
I know it's special for you too.
Well, you know what I like about it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what you like.
There's a lot of sweet glider action, let's say. Let's do it. Tell us all about it, Steve.
It's even worse. All right. Uber detailed plot of Ewoks Comics number 3, Flight to Danger. This one is a 3-parter too.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting 3-parter. So let's get into it.
1, 2, 3. Yep.
Yes. A peaceful morning in bed for Tebow is suddenly disturbed when Wicket wakes him, telling him they are both late for the Harvest Festival. They meet up with Princess Nisa and apologize to her father for being late. But how could they be late when they are the honored guests?
Twist.
Wicket, Tebow, twist? Yeah. What's a twist? Wicket, Tebow, and Nisa have the honor of flying far off to collect the sacred lightwood used to make their gliders.
Woo!
They are each given sacred knives to cut this wood by Kazakh, the first elder of the council, and sent on their way with a promise that the one who returns with the wood gets a special honor. Meanwhile, Logray casts fortune stones, which reveal bad things will happen to the young Ewoks. Sherpa assures him they will be fine since they have fair weather and good sense. However, the first of their troubles occurs when the Ewoks discover their sacred lightwood has all been cut down by evil Quarks.
Well, that's the 35th rule of acquisition. I think that you can take other people's lightwood.
I knew you were gonna say something about that. Quarks. There's just no way I could say it without it being a Ferengi name. All right. Although surrounded by Quarks,
Dabo
managed to escape on their gliders into a nearby gorge. Looking for a way out, they find their escape route is blocked by a massive devil beast, which looks much like the body of a pterodactyl and the head of an alligator. Actually, it looks exactly like that. I shouldn't say much like. That's pretty much what it is. The devil beast grabs Wicket out of the air, and Teebo and Nisa are forced to the ground. The devil beast returns Wicket to the Quarks, and they take away his knife and bind him up. Teebo and Nisa follow all of them back to Quark City. At Quark City, Wicket is brought to King Marlox. There he discovers that the Quarks have harvested the Lightwood so they too can have gliders, but lack Ewok ingenuity to make them until now.
Ooh.
Refusing to make gliders, Wicket is brought to a cell. That very moment, Teebo and Nisa decide to attack and manage to free Wicket. While trying to escape, a Quark places a perfect spear throw, pinning Nisa's cape to a cartwheel, causing all 3 Ewoks to now be captured. Again, they refuse, but when Wicket and Teebo are threatened, with Nisa, now tied to a post, being subjected to the wrath of the Devil Beast, Wicket finally agrees to help. Teebo is stunned that he would give them this information, but Wicket informs him he promised to make one, but not that it would fly.
Clever girl.
When done, Teebo exclaims that only the smartest Quarks should be the first to fly, causing all the Quarks to argue. Yep. Wicket and Teebo take this moment to escape on their own gliders along with all the sacred Lightwood. The Quarks finally realize what's up, and Marlox tries to pursue in his new glider, but it crumbles to pieces, causing him to crash to the ground. The Quarks release the Devil Beast, which begins to approach Nisa, still tied to a post. Wicket swoops down and kicks the Devil Beast in the face. Him and Teebo split up, causing the Devil Beast to be confused. No matter, because the Devil Beast again bears down on Nisa. Quickly, the beast is intercepted again by Wicket and Teebo, who manage to cut Nisa's bonds and pick her up before the Devil Beast can eat her. Clearly enraged, the Devil Beast pursues the gliding Ewoks trying to escape. Headed for Quark City, the Ewoks manage to trap the Devil Beast as it attempts to fly through the Quark throne room after them. Safely rid of the Devil Beast, the Ewoks fly home unscathed with sacred Lightwood in Teebo's glider. Suddenly, he realizes he's the one to be honored because of it, but Wicket and Nisa tell him that the honor means he has to do glider stunts over the harvest celebration that night. Teebo, in a panic, tries to pawn off the wood, but Wicket and Nisa wouldn't dare deprive Teebo of all that fun. The end.
Since you brought it up, I just can't get into Deep Space Nine. I just finished season 1 first time watching it, and I just can't. Oh my gosh. Just don't like the characters. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen eventually. Yeah.
Were you like TOS? No. Voyager?
Yeah.
Voyager?
I would say like Kirk era movies, all
then
of Kirk,
Voyager.
then Voyager. Yeah, then then Next Gen and so on. But
Okay. Yeah, I'm an original series and then 9. I mean, I'll say like Deep Space Nine is the best, but only because like the original series only got 3 seasons.
True.
Right. I put
2
the
more
original
animated
series
as we proved
2
last
more
week.
That's true. I guess it is. Yeah. So when people are like, which one is my favorite, is DS9, but the best one is the original series. Like I will, if that's on, I'll watch it. But if a random Deep Space Nine episode is on, I may or may not watch it.
I mean, first seasons are always rocky, as we learned here in the Ewoks show and the Droid show.
The first season of DS9 is tough.
Yeah. So I'm not liking
it. But it does come
anyway.
around. That's the thing. Like you get to the end of Deep Space Nine, and you're like, oh my gosh, all that weird stuff that happened in the first season comes full circle.
Yes,
you're like, holy crap, man! Like it's almost like they wrote it. That was one of the first shows where I was like, it's almost like they sat down for 1 week, didn't leave a room, and wrote all 9 seasons.
Beginning,
yes, at least 10 of episodes of each season to kind of progress a story, and then there was like 10 fillers or 14 filler episodes.
Yeah.
You gotta have those holodeck episodes.
I could say you do. You absolutely do. Anyway, but this is the wrong Quark. We're talking about the wrong Quark.
Wrong Quark.
The Quarks here are big, burly, red-furred guys that are stupid.
Did you think they were the Devil Beasts at first? Because they kind of had horns. Oh, I was like,
I get it.
The Devil Beasts, but it was like the name of that part. It was like part 2, the Devil Beasts, but it was right on that frame, and I was like, oh,
no, I
the
didn't
Devil
think
Beast.
of that.
Yeah,
the cover kind of gave it away. That I knew we were gonna have a dinosaur. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No, I liked it though. I thought it was pretty good. this one kind of made sense to me because we're always like, in the show, we're always making fun of how they have to like go do some drastic like moon saving thing, just the three children. But this was actually kind of a pretty believable excuse to send them away. Like I feel like this was maybe the most thoughtful. Like, here's how this adventure is going to unfold. You're going to go do these things for a ceremony, and it's only dangerous
Yeah.
because the quarks have invaded. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Otherwise, it
This
wouldn't
isn't a
be.
dangerous mission. It's just you
Right.
guys have the honor
It
to go
should be an
collect it this
easy,
year.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
did like that. I thought that was kind of a cool way to get in. Good focus on characters. I think that the characters in this are a little sharper than they were in the show because Wicket is a little bit more of what I wanted him to be. He's a little bit
Yes.
more of just like the heroic, cool one instead of like the weird, like Bugs Bunny wannabe.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I liked it. How about you?
I really loved this one, and
Loved
as I
it.
started reading it, I was like, "This would have been a great
I should marry it.
episode. This would I
Yeah.
will marry it. I'll marry it right now. I do."
Well, that's the thing though. See the show was scripted by people who were like new to like TV and stuff. It didn't have a ton of
Yeah.
writing experience. They would get it later on, but the comic is created by comic book authors and artists and inkers and
Yeah,
pencilers and
and a
everything
team. You
who have
see the team.
yeah.
Yeah.
And these are people who have been in the industry and like know how to write a comic book. So yes, sorry, I interrupted you, but I think
Just
that is the
what
difference. You
that
have
is
like
it's such a
experience.
difference. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like you would think it would take more time probably to make an episode of Ewoks than it would be to make a
sure,
comic.
for sure.
I'm guessing. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Right, at least in that time, right? We're talking 30, 40 years ago,
80s,
80s,
yeah,
85, yeah, like,
yeah,
that's gotta be harder to make animation in a time because you gotta draw each frame as opposed
yeah,
to one frame, you know?
yeah,
But, like, this tracked well,
mhm,
the story became linear, but it was like it was supposed to be about going there and returning, but
yeah,
it kinda ended up all about being there.
yeah,
Right? And so
yeah,
I don't know. I just thought it was I just thought it was really, really good, and
yeah, I agree.
there was just the right amount of peril, right? I do have one,
We
when
love that
I do
word.
my Oak of Arc, there's
Okay.
always going to be an Oak of Arc, and I'll say
Yeah,
why.
that's true.
But like
Yeah,
the peril matched what was going on, right? It wasn't
yeah,
like, oh, if you don't get the light wood, the planet will melt
exactly.
into a ball of fire.
Yeah,
So you better go get it,
yeah.
children.
All the
And
stakes were right. Yeah, you're right.
all the stakes were right. It was just go off. Just you guys have the honor this year. Take these sacred knives is what we use. That's like a cool thing when you take like an elder and kind of pass on that ritual to a youngling, right? Or
Yeah,
a walkling in this case. But they kind of did, right? Kazakh was like, oh, the first
yeah.
elder of the
They made a
council. And I
big
was
deal
like,
out of it.
oh,
Yeah,
ooh, cool. Like
yeah,
a new Ewok. We got a new
yeah.
Ewok in
I
this
did.
one,
Yeah,
right?
I noticed that too. We got a new named Ewok. Doesn't happen very
Yeah.
often. I think going back to your point about the quality here.
Mm,
I have had a library podcast for years at the public library I work. First the All the Book Show and then House Things. And over the years, we've interviewed a lot of comic book authors and artists. And one thing that I picked up from those interviews is there was such a strong line between like you're a comic book writer, you don't write TV or movies. Like there's no
Oh,
crossover. It
okay.
wasn't like okay, we're
Really?
gonna we're gonna make a Superman show, so why don't we talk to the Superman like comic book authors? No, that was not a thing until I think more recently it is. I think a lot of times you see
Well, yeah, like Jeff
names
Lubb,
associated with
right?
comic.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
sure, yeah, yeah,
he did all kinds of stuff in Smallville.
exactly. Yeah, that's a great example. Well, I mean Jeff Johns too.
Oh, Jeff
Obviously, Jeff
Johns,
Johns
yeah.
writing a lot of comic books and then involved in animation and
Oh,
features and
yeah,
things.
that's
But
interesting.
yeah, so I think it's very makes sense to me from this time that they aren't. There's no crossover here. It's like we have the show and then we have the comic books,
Yeah.
and there's
Man, the
no
show would have
crossover.
benefited.
Well, I can't really get into this too much without spoiling my Ichiwawa moment. So why don't we jump to the
Oh, okay.
Ichiwawa moments? All right.
Give it to me, man. What do you got?
You know
What's
what
your
it is. You
Ichiwawa?
know what it is, Steve. It's that glider. It's that sweet glider action.
Oh, yeah.
Because you I gotta stop
I'm
saying
so
that.
immature.
I have to stop
Yeah.
saying that. Because as you recall from the film The Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks were on gliders having a grand old time. And the
Yep.
first like several episodes of the series, we had more like a glider action. And then
Yeah.
somewhere along the way, it was just like, I forgot.
Yep.
So like we haven't seen them doing it at all. And the fact that it was such a part of it, and we got like backstory on how they make the gliders, why it's this whole
Yeah.
ceremony. They're cutting special sticks. They're making the gliders out of this special thing. It's like a coming of age thing. So it provided a lot of context. It provided a lot of like world building, which seems
Yeah.
silly in a comic like this, but it did because it gave you like cool backstory. So not only did we get to see the gliders in action, but we got to find out like what role they play in like Ewok culture, which again sounds grandiose, but
that's exactly
what
what I thought. That it
happens,
was just like, wow, this is cool. It's not just a vehicle; it's a
Yeah.
part of their culture,
Right.
and it's unique to them
Yeah.
on Endor, right?
Oh
So
yeah. And
I
it's
thought
it's
that was
it's
really
not
cool. Yeah,
unlike kind of hitting that point where you make your own lightsaber in other Star Wars lore.
yeah.
It's kind of like this is
Yep.
that coming of age moment. What about you?
Mm.
What was your Ichiwawa moment?
Actually, I think my first real Ichiwawa moment was Kazakh. I
Oh,
was like, "Ooh,
meeting a new Ewok.
another
Yeah.
named Ewok. I was and the first Elder.
Yeah.
So we're kind of seeing a caste structure within the Ewoks, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Kazakh, cool. Look
Yeah.
at that. A new Ewok.
I agree. I agree.
Hands out the ceremonial knives. What about Okavark?
Well, I think coming off the last Ewoks comic episode we did, if you can remember back there, it was all about like kind of Nisa coming into her own and getting ready to like, assume leadership and stuff. So when this started,
being ready.
And Wicket is captured and then like Nisa and Tebow have to save him, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like you don't normally see that. Like that's an unusual pairing and stuff. And I thought it was really cool that they didn't make Nisa the damsel in distress, which was the kind of thing that they often did in the cartoon. Remember, it was like Latara.
I mean, they did.
I know. No, I'm getting there. Remember how Latara was
Okay.
always like obsessed with makeup and stuff like that, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay. So I was like, cool. They didn't make Nisa the damsel, and here comes the Okavark part, because as soon as it turns, Nisa is captured and is like tied to a stake and goes full damsel, and I'm like, fellas, can we not?
Yeah, I know.
That was mine. I felt like it really like issue 2 was so like Nisa's so cool and tough, and this one was like, help, I'm tied to the railroad tracks, So
well, the funny thing is that rolls right into my Okavark, which was they got captured too many times.
They did get captured.
It was just like, look, one time, man, one time. Let's just be captured one time and escape one time.
Yep.
It was like capture, escape, capture again, but escape, and then capture, and then escape. And it was just like, I'm sitting there writing like, suddenly they got captured, suddenly they escaped, suddenly they got captured. And I'm like, I feel like I'm repeating them myself like multiple times in the same paragraph. But like, I think the peril remained the same. Right? It wasn't like, oh, we got captured the first time and like, you're going to tell us, we're going to lock you up, because you're not telling us. And then like all of a sudden they get captured again. And we're like, we're going to boil your eyes in water if you don't tell us. And we're like, what? We just went from, like, what the fuck?
Really escalated.
So it's just like, I feel like the peril remained the same. Like, oh, okay, they're captured again. But, they got out the first time, so they're probably going to get out again. And they do, and then okay, and then they get captured again. And
I mean, that is goofy. The only reason
ping
why
pong, right?
It was
tennis.
It was
back and forth.
The only reason, the thing that kept that from being my Okavark was that the Quarks are specifically shown to be like bumbling and not great at it. So it's not like there's some like, they're just kind of like, whoa, like reacting to everything. So I was kind of like, whatever. It's kind of like shenanigans, but that's okay, I guess. It would be redundant to say this every time. Like, so I'm not going to use this as an Okavark for now or the future, but I truly don't understand the color palette in these comics because it is awful.
Wicket is awful.
The weirdest.
He is
just like they only have yellow.
Myriad of putrid greens and yellows.
It's very strange. It's very strange. And like the Droids comic is like that as well. But I think just the nature of the Droids comic and those storylines is that you're dealing with different colors and things. And here it's just like, just by its definition, it kind of has to be like Ewoky and brown and foresty. And so you're a lot of greens and browns and yellows. But it is weird because like, I don't think that ink would have been cheaper. So why are we going with those colors? Like I don't get it because it's consistent.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the style.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. It is consistent. It's funny you mention it because I did go back and look at the other Ewok stories to make sure the palette was the same. Because I was like, there's this one frame that's like a close up on Wicket's face, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
that looks horrible.
I know.
Like, I mean, it's drawn really well. I'm not gonna say it
Yeah.
looks. The colors, it was just like all. It would be like me. I'm bad with color. I'd be like, that's green, that's green, that's yellow, that's yellow, that's yellow.
Yeah.
And my wife would be like, what are you kidding me? That's like 3 different yellows on there and like 5 different greens. I'd be like, this looks all like green and yellow. It's just all in color. Right. And so there was like no definition of like, okay, that's his eyebrows.
Yeah.
You know, like a bear has like the dark brown, but then the lighter brown face and then the black eyes. And then it was just like putrid green and yellow colors.
It seems like they can afford 3 colors per page and that's it. And maybe it is. Maybe there is some financial reason to do that. I mean, there must be. Marvel's Star Imprint, I think, was kind of like a low budget thing that we don't care about. But I don't know. Like Archie comics of that time or like Harvey comics of that time, which a lot of the creatives are coming out of, didn't really have that look. So I don't understand.
What if that has to do with printing?
Yes, but I read this one on the Marvel Unlimited app, which should be like the most pristine version of it, and the colors are just as bad.
No. Like during the printers of the days, right? I think of like my 3D printer, like I could print with 3 different colors, but I'm limited by those 3 different colors.
Yeah, maybe, Superman or other Marvel comics of that era don't look like that. So I don't know. But I guess we just
they're limited to a certain amount of colors, or else they'd have to pull all the sheets that they just printed and put them through again, which causes more problems. So that's what I mean about like limited by color.
I think you're a regular Jessica Fletcher over there. I think you just solved this mystery.
Indubitably, my dear Watson. Oh, I am the.
But she said it's a terrible Angela Lansbury impression. It doesn't sound like her at all. So I think you're probably right. So I guess we just have to put that to bed and just acknowledge that the colors in this are weird and bad and will be forever.
I'll stop complaining about the colors.
Okay,
it's just,
all right. We'll make a pact.
I do kind of enjoy it though. There's so much nostalgia with the colors.
It does feel vintage.
It does beg the question of really.
Yeah,
it couldn't have made Wicket brown. You had to made him like.
You're probably
green,
right.
Yellow,
You're probably right. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, I think minimal complaints for this. I think this was a lot of fun. I had a good time reading it, and I feel like the story was adventurous as well. I did read this one like out loud with my son. We were kind of flipping through, and he read Tebow's voice, and he did a pretty good Tebow impersonation.
How did he read it?
Yeah, he was. He was like, "Wicked, come on!" It was pretty good, pretty good. So adding his dynamic performance really helped a lot. But I've read these forever ago when I first got the collection, and I liked them then, and I was kind of worried that revisiting them, I'd be like, "Oh no, these suck." But no, they don't. They're good. They're fun.
Yeah,
fun little adventure stories. Pretty good all around.
I'm gonna say it right now. Maybe I'll jinx it. I wonder if the droids ones are just as bad as the droid show.
I don't know.
They're probably so much better.
I was wondering that too, but I mean, it's probably a similar situation. You have comic book crews working on those, I would assume. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see when we get there. Okay, how many yub dubs do you want to give this one?
I'm going 4 or 5, man. I'm confident with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was really good.
I'm gonna go 4 just because the Quarks got a little old, as we discussed, and I didn't like. I didn't like the Nisa damsel turn. So.
Yeah.
But other than that, I agree. Fun, solid adventure.
Yeah, and I'll say this one last thing. I thought the condor bird or whatever it was called was the biggest flying animal on Endor.
Oh, did they say that? I think you're right. I think they did say that.
And the condor bird is the type of it's funny because when it was in an episode, its head was much larger than the skull that's on Logray's head, which makes me think that he killed a baby and not an actual like mama or daddy.
Logray.
But like all of a sudden we get this like the devil beast, and it's just like, all right, the devil beast is way bigger than a condor.
Probably bigger.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a different class.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I had thought that had been mentioned.
Maybe he's the biggest flying reptile, and the condor bird's the biggest avian.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's what we're going with.
Okay, well, I guess that wraps us here. Next time we're going to be back doing droids. It's going to be the final episode of the first arc. It's Race to the Finish. Mm-hmm. So we're going to close out this Kea, and I don't even remember their names. What are their names? Do you remember?
Lothal and Jord.
Jorg, yeah, whatever.
Lothal is what? That's the planet.
Oh, that's the planet in Rebels. Yeah, it's the planet in Rebels.
Yeah,
and Ahsoka. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ahsoka, that's
So-
true, but it's Rebels first.
So we've decided,
Yeah.
we've made a pact that after this, we're going to cover the droids episode as full arcs. All right. So we're not going to
Yes.
break them down episode by episode. We're going to look at the whole arc and talk about it, because we'll all die if we try to keep doing it this way.
We're pivoting
Yeah.
for good. For good.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That's right. It's for the better. It's for the better. I think all of us.
If
We
you
gotta
like
get
it breaking down, I'm sorry, we're not doing that.
I know. I was hoping that we could get Kendra Mickles, who is a Radio Meanwhile all-star and a fan of the Droid show from back in the day. She hasn't rewatched it since she was a little youngling herself, but
we girl.
we got to get her on for one of these Droids shows. So maybe next time we'll see how her schedule works out. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I'm not looking forward to talking about the Droids, but I'm going to try.
Well, it'll be fun.
Okay. All right. It'll be fun.
We'll make it fun.
It'll be
make
fun.
It fun.
It'll be fun. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess
right.
I'll see you then.
I'll see you next time. This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Other shows on the network include 9021 Here We Go, previously on X-Men, and 90s Music Got Me Like. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook or X @Endorian Life, and please rate, subscribe, and share this show wherever you get your podcasts.